Hey, welcome. My name is Ty Hicks, founder of Mastering Ethical and Lasting Influence and Results Coach. And I'm so excited to have you here with me. What I want to cover today in this free training is a concept that really transformed the way I live my life and has been incredibly empowering for all the clients that I work with. And I want to give it to you as a gift. And the concept is called the map doesn't equal the territory. And I believe the first time I heard this quote was with Richard Bandler, I believe. And incredibly empowering concept, and I want to dive in on what this means. So first, let me present to you this idea of a metaphor. So take the city you live in, okay? Just imagine the city you live in. And imagine now that you have a map of the city that you live in, two-dimensional map. And we've got that, you're sitting across from me, I'm right here, and we're looking at a map. Well, what's interesting is if we look at that map, you already know that the map is obviously not equivalent to the territory. You know that, for instance, there will be things that have been shifted, that have been distorted, that have been shrunken, maybe some areas where it's been enlarged, the proportions may not be right. You may be thinking the colors are not correct. There may be things that are just flat out missing, okay? And so you intuitively understand the metaphor, that there's reality and then there's the map that is meant to represent reality, but is really just an imperfect tool meant to be able to help you create some sort of semblance of what the reality is so that you can ideally navigate it more easily. Well, here's what's interesting. We create internal maps of meaning that are simply representations of the world, but they don't match the reality of the world. You know, if we've got, for instance, if let's say, here's my excellent drawing. This is my Bob Ross moment. So here's you, and let's say you're not quite smiling, you just got a little smirk going on. And let's say you had a fight with your, your boss, okay? And you're thinking about this fight you had with your boss. Tempers were high. Both of you were sad. And you're thinking about this after the fact. And what's probably going through your head is something along the lines of he or she never ... or he or she always ... or something along those lines where you say, oh, God, he never listens to me, or she's so unreasonable, or I'm never appreciated in this company. Or whatever the case is, okay? You fill in your own specific expletive. I guarantee you've had some sort of moment like this before. But what's interesting about this experience, and I just picked this out of the top of my head, I'm just trying to pick a common experience I think most of us have had at one point or another. What's interesting is that we create a set of meanings surrounding this situation. We say things like, he or she never listens to what I have to say. They always are so obstructive and never constructive or whatever. And we'll create this whole story, this whole narrative around whatever this situation was. And so what we've done now is we've essentially created an internal model of what that conversation was. Because by the way, let's say this is you, and here's your boss. And if we've got your boss over here, and they've got their own thought of the situation, are they gonna believe the same things you believed? Are they gonna be thinking that they are never reasonable, or that they always are insecure, or whatever the case is? No, they're probably gonna be having their own story over here of how you were, and placing the blame on you. Now, here's the question. Which one of these is right? It's you, not your boss, right? No, I'm just kidding. Which one of these is right? Neither of them. Neither of them is correct. That's the point here, is that the point is to realize that out of the situation of you having a disagreement with your boss, these two representations, these two maps of meaning that have been created to represent the territory are no more correct than each other. No one of them is more correct than the other. And at the same time, both of them are not delegitimate. That is to say that the map of the situation is what we have to pay attention to. And we have to understand that, okay, our maps, our internal maps of reality don't necessarily equal reality. And that means that if we are going to be smart cartographers and navigate life in an intelligent way to get to our desired outcome, that destination, what that means is we've got to make maps that are purposeful. It means that we need to take a good hard look at our maps, look at their strengths and weaknesses, and say, I want to shift this purposefully. And a lot of people confuse this idea with thinking that, oh, you want me to just pretend that my boss is a nice guy? You want me to just go into a place of positive thinking and pretend things are better than they are? No, that's not what I'm for. But what I am for is for you to stop telling yourself that things are worse than they actually are. So here's a little simple question that you can ask yourself whenever your brain is constructing these disempowering narratives around what reality is. And this is something I addressed in a other video you may have seen as well. And that question that could change your life is it really true? Is it really true that my boss is always unreasonable? No, it's not. And you know that. Is it really true that they never listen to what you have to say? All of a sudden, when you sit and meditate on that thought for a minute, a new opening is created in the mind, in the map. And you realize, okay, maybe there's something that I did to this situation that created a bad situation, right? And similarly, if your boss did the same thing, they'll find a new spot where they could take some of the blame and assign some of the ownership to themselves as well. The point being simply that what would be a better choice for you? To simply create an internal map of the world that you've just created by reaction, that you have just assembled willy-nilly based off of your previous dreadful experiences where you've created new associations and said, okay, that's a bad path to go on, never go on that path, right? Or would you rather have a map that you've designed intentionally, where you've got clarity on where do you want to go, where you are now, and what would be a necessary set of meanings that could get you to your desired destination? Because you're not going to be, you're not going to be able to control everything that happens to you. That's life, that's reality. But you are in control of what it means to you. You are always in control of what it means to you. Is this conversation with your boss a punishment, or is it a challenge? Is it an invitation for you to grow as a leader and to decide how you might approach this, how you might be able to seam the bridge and create a constructive relationship? Is it an opportunity for you to stretch beyond what you currently thought was imaginable for yourself? Right? So the point being, take a good hard look at what your map is. Ask yourself when these disempowering ideas come up, they're no longer serving you, is that really true? And really sit on that for a minute. Ask, can I absolutely be sure that it is true? And you'll realize virtually in no instances is that the case. And what this does is it now gives you a level of choices. It gives you freedom, what I like to call personal freedom, in the sense that you're no longer just being driven by your automatic patterns, but you now can consciously design your own life on your terms, on your own desired and chosen sets of meanings. So hope this is useful to you. If you find this empowering, pass it along to someone else you think could use it. And again, thanks so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you again in the next one.